Hey there, Jackye Mumphrey, the real estate maven in Mableton residence since 2003. Wanted to come to you guys today with this podcast to share with you some recent thoughts I've had on Mableton and to discuss with you thoughts that people may have about Mableton that hopefully will be changing soon. As we move into the new decade, it's kind of important to make sure we're spreading the positive messages and sharing the great attributes of this particular area that I hold dear and will see myself here indefinitely. And I hope that if you are a Mableton resident and or considering moving here, will think the same way. So, want to share with you. I went to a party over the holiday season and struck up a conversation about Mableton with another guest. And during the conversation, the gentleman told me that he was a real estate agent and decided to move in Powder Springs instead of Mableton because it seemed too industrialized and the market wasn't quite to the point of being worth investing in and too shabby and even just a visit. But he still said that he would help somebody buy in Mableton if they were to ask him for his help. He went on to say that all one would have to do is just drive down Veterans Memorial, and that would be enough research for them to make a decision on the area. And of course, I personally found that interesting, a bit judgmental, and of course uninformed, even as a professional. But hey, it's his opinion. At the point of the conversation, I didn't reveal that I too was a real estate agent and that I work and live in Mableton. I wanted to hear what he had to say. I listened to him talk about his home purchase and how he thought Mableton had too much growth still to go before being attractive enough to live there. And then the host of the party interjected and said that the reason why he also moved to Powder Springs was that Mabel wasn't ritzy enough. He said, the only claim to fame as far as neighborhoods go is Vinus Estates, which is more than half in Smyrna. And I sat back and I mused on it a while and continued on with the conversation while still at the party and kind of floating in and out of the conversations in the room. I kind of sat and kind of mused on, why is it exactly people tend to thumb their nose at Mableton? Whether it's on my Mableton YouTube channel, at I Love Mableton, where you might be watching this, or comments that are posted on my Nextdoor sponsorship page, or messages sent to me from LinkedIn or southcobbpatch.com, where I post a lot of articles. I, from time to time, will get similar feedback from people who actually live and own property in Mableton, which initially came to me as a surprise, but now I see, personally being a cheerleader for the town you live in isn't always welcomed. And, that's pretty surprising. People are going to always, nitpick what you say and or what you do, and just, part of the process. So I would say to those people, though, that they have a really, really short memories of how, say, Smyrna used to be. And the many parts are pretty much still the same. And with all, the descriptions that you hear of it being run down or being, crime riddled or having bad schools or whatnot, it's kind of perpetuated by the people themselves. So it's my belief that perhaps it was all the decades of all the hodgepodge, poor county planning, the lack of investment, the lack of execution, ignorance, a reluctant voting bloc with a chip on his shoulders, and that probably caused a lot of that perception back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. However, to me, that sounds more like the way Atlanta is in a lot of ways today rather than Mableton. So as you know, every community in the world has its ills and bright spots. It grows and spurts and stops, Mableton included. And it's really economics and education and investments that spur the growth of what's happened in Mableton and in South Cobb. In recent years, we've had pretty strong leadership in office and an empowered community stewardship helping to guide Mableton in what it is today and the powerhouse it'll be in the future. The community has come together to help create the fabric of Mableton with like really strong ties and bonds within the area with its community groups like the South Cobb Business Association and the Mableton Improvement Coalition, among other groups. Major home builders like Beezer Homes, David Weekley, Currently Family Homes, Meritage Home Builders, Pulte, and a dozen other small companies. They're all vying for the sweet land deals that we have here in our area. And they're basically going to be the architects that shaped South Cobb forever. And not since the prolific John Whelan Home, with their 10 communities that they built over 30 years, has there been such a large spurt in rooftops in the area until now. And investment dollars are rolling in. Millennials, who are going to be our homeowners and voters and community stewards of tomorrow, are seeking out Mableton for their future values right now. Their children will see strong investments. They'll see support in the schools, as they continue to vote in officials with good schools as their focus. They will reap the rewards of economic growth and increase in wealth through real estate and the benefits of a good local economy. They'll start flourishing. It'll attract more and more people each and every day. So I wanted to also share with you my experience with another person that I'd spoken to, and it was kind of odd to me that they said that to them that Mableton was more of a place where you go and go to sleep. Basically, you come and go to sleep. It's not really a place where you go and hang out. It's not really a destination. It's really more of a place to crash. And I just thought that was kind of odd listening to this person tell me this. It kind of makes me think, like, what happens to the people, who decide to take Mableton off their list and try to pursue buying a home in another area, or people who are currently living here wanting to sell themselves, sell their houses and move out. I mean, are they selling themselves short? Are they missing the big picture? Are they giving up Mableton for greener pastures that they'll regret in some years to come? I don't understand why people, I don't see why people don't want to basically create the environment in which they want to live. Okay, simply put. Are they being impatient? Are they being apathetic about the process? Are they not into placemaking? And I'll share a little bit more about that with you guys in a moment. But I just find that with our resources and the community involvement and the investments by the millennials and the interest in the home building industry, we're pretty much primed for an explosion in values and retail and changes in our school and the environment with our growth in the area. And I'm not sure if it's necessarily a good thing if it happens overnight. The excessive growth in a short period of time will eventually put a stress on our traffic. It'll put a stress on the school district. It'll put a stress on our water grids and water departments, and create backlogs and permitting and the reviews of plans from builders trying to rush plans to build in our area. It'll disturb our established ebb and flow of the community that we have currently. But it'll bring nice amenities and new stores and people in the area, and also, of course, bring the congestion and the higher density. We used to have like really large swaths of land. We still do, but over time, we'll start to see that erode a little bit. So I think it'll just be a matter of finding the right balance going forward in Mableton. I really do. It's just one of those things, you want to see the growth in the area, but you don't want to see basically the status quo, so to speak, for lack of a better terminology, better vocabulary, be disrupted, because people still live here, It's kind of like I said, a balancing act, the powers that be and the residents that live here, we all just kind of have to basically get along with each other. So until all of this explosive and air quotation growth happens, what are we going to do about the talk about Mableton not being up to snuff? We all know the area supports very affordable housing. We know it has an excellent commute distance to Atlanta and to the airport and the freeways and downtown and Marietta Square and Dobbins Air Base and the Cumberland Mall and the Brave Stadium and all that great stuff. We got underutilized resources like the Chattahoochee River. We've got great jobs that are supported here, that support our people here, like Crystal Springs Water and Boar's Head Meats and MSS Industrial Supply, UPS, FedEx. We've got the airport, the Charlie Brown Airport, that's not too far away, Six Flags, the Epicenter. I mean, we have so much here. We've got community gardens, the Silver Comet Trail, and the farmers market during the summer. And again, we've got dozens of home builders that are picking Mableton to invest their millions out of their own pocket to help carve out homes for newcomers. And, we know local people are also investing in Mableton with the purchase of the Mirror Building over on Mableton Parkway, which is Mableton's only high-rise building. They're redoing the old Wachovia Bank that is on Mableton Parkway. That's being refurbished, as well as a couple of other businesses around town. And, you know, we've got new stores coming in. There's a couple. There's the Cafe Social that's over in Legacy Walk. The shopping center over at what is it called? Clay Road and Veterans Memorial and Cooper Lake Road. We've got Jamaica Me Crazy. We got the Leland shopping center right there, and it's got the Carpet Depot. That's where Jamaica Me Crazy is at. We've got the JG Chicken and Seafood that's on Floyd and Veterans Memorial, and a bunch of other places. And you know, they chose Mableton to support their livelihood, their households, and also the people who work for them. So what do they see in our area here in Mableton that other people don't see? And what do you feel we need to do with our reputation? How do we perceive, how do we give the perception that Mableton, you know, is a great place to live? How do we continue to spread that message? You know, I think part of it is the social media aspect of it, because a lot of people will go onto social media and complain. They will, you know, talk about and share information about crimes. They'll share information about, you know, things that aren't necessarily the most positive thing in the area, and forget that there's people who are looking to be here who may get turned off by certain things. And not to say that we're trying to hide anything or shade anything. It's just that when you have nothing but negativity that someone may come across on a continual basis, it may, you know, lend itself to people not wanting to be here, and in turn affecting values of homes. So, you know, in my opinion, one of the things that you think about when you go and visit other places throughout the Atlanta Metroplex is like, what makes a place an actual place or a destination to want to venture to? You know, what makes Sandy Springs, Dunwoody, you know, places like Chattahoochee Hills, Decatur, Brookhaven, Milton, and other cities around Atlanta a destination place to visit in their cities? And in my opinion, what it means to me in Mableton is creating placemaking. Okay, basically creating an environment that's memorable, you know, clean, nice, entertaining, eventful, relaxing, scenic, you know, charming, all the great things that tourist or destination areas tend to have. You know, it's a multifaceted approach to planning and design. It's basically like the definition of placemaking. You know, you're going to capitalize on your local community assets, inspiration, and potential with the intention of creating a space, a public space that promotes interest, happiness, people's well-being, things like that. And in my opinion, things like that would be like in our area would be like, you know, get them, like if we got them sponsored, say for like by local businesses or our private citizenry or local governments or federal grants, you know, I think that we could really come together and plan some things, you know, that would make it a place to want to see, make it a place to want to come and do things. And one of the ideals that I had was create like arch bridges over the Chattahoochee River with like a small recreation area to sit. Each side of the bridge would include a trail for people to walk and like rest on, and it would involve working with Fulton County, of course, on the other side of the river. And then like we have kind of like the river walk right now, but that's been since annexed into Smyrna over there off of Riverview Road, but like somewhere downriver, closer to, you know, Austell, doing like a restaurant scene down there, where, you know, I know there's a lot of industrial things down that way, but, you know, for wherever we could invest some like restaurants, you know, even a trail that would connect Smyrna along the river all the way to the Douglas County line for like joggers and hikers and bicyclists, do some kayaking, have like really cool, you know, horse farm for the kids, an ice cream shop, you know, a large venue for bowling and beer, like over in Dave and Buster's over in Kennesaw, a museum with interesting artifacts about Mableton. You can actually put something like that. I believe Governor Aurora Barnes owns that land that's behind the U.S. Postal Service that's over there on Floyd Road. I think that would be an excellent location for a local museum. You could do classes there, community scenes, groups, things like that. And in addition to those things, one of the places I've always admired is Sandy Springs. They have what's called the Sandy Springs turtle. If you don't know what the Sandy Springs turtles are, check it out on Google. They've got photos of them. They sprinkle them all over the area. There's about 75 of them. And back in 2005, the city erected them, like I said, all over the place. And they're about 4 to 5 feet high, made out of a composite concrete. And they're painted with all these whimsical colors. They place them in the public areas like the parks, the water fountains, trails, and on public corners. And they're kind of like the ambassadors or like the mascots for like welcoming people and spreading good cheer. And it's just a really cool thing. You know, some might think it's corny, but I actually think it's pretty darling and it's cutesy, and it makes those are the kind of things that make a town, in my opinion. You know, something that's different. And I did think about, like, you know, what if Mableton did something similar? What if we had like our own statuesques, you know, statues that would like welcome people coming into Mableton? And one of the things I thought about was coyotes, because one of the things you always hear about on ring.com or on the Facebook community groups is people talking about the coyotes. You know, oh, I hit a coyote, or I saw a coyote, or one of my neighbors says, you know, oh, look out, everybody, Wiley and his friends are out. You know, it's or just the run of the mill, like, yeah, I saw a coyote today, be careful kind of comments. So, you know, it's kind of an annoyance to have those, but they're still beautiful creatures. There's a lot of curiosity about them. You never really see them during the day. So I just thought that would be something that we could emulate that they do over in Sandy Springs here in Mableton. So I thought that was pretty cool. And they do see that when you go check out the turtles, that they're in locations where people tend to gravitate to. You know, after you go and take photos with all the turtles, you know, people will stop into the local shops and buy, you know, and invest in the area. So I think, you know, I think that's a great thing. Now, I don't wear rose-colored glasses. You know, and I know that Mableton has its share of challenges, just as any other growing town. And, you know, on the table right now, we're discussing cityhood and all the things that entails. Some people are for it, some people are against it, some people have a fear of the taxes, some people, you know, don't want to be involved in the city whatsoever. You know, they worry about mismanagement and nepotism, which would be true of any new city forming. Okay, so let's be honest. But those concerns are they're concerning, but it's small in comparison to just the viewpoint that naysayers have about our area already. And some people who oppose cityhood in Mableton would welcome being annexed into Smyrna, you know, but others would be totally horrified by the idea of overnight being a Smyrna resident, and rather incorporate Mableton versus trying to incorporate and fold into Smyrna. Smyrna has had some pretty aggressive land grabs in the recent years of Mableton and of our county property, and some people are kind of fed up with that. And a lot of people actually moved to Mableton to get away from that bureaucracy as well. So, you know, I guess we'll see what happens. But the people that are like pro cityhood, basically why there's pro cityhood, they want to have more control of the local dollar that circulates here in their community. And if Mableton did turn into a city, we would actually double in size of nearly 40,000 right now. We will double up to 80,000, which would make us Cobb County's largest city. And we would have we actually would have over 10% of the county's population and the largest voting bloc. So that would give, you know, our area a lot of power. And so anyway, so Mabletonians, you know, we appreciate the attributes, our tax base, of course. You'll hear people talk about that often, you know, our proximity to everything, to downtown Atlanta, how quiet it is, the folksiness, the laid back atmosphere, you know, the big homes as you can get for the money, the quirky folks that we have, both wealthy and blue collar. We got bohemian, we got yuppies, we got mixed demographics, we got down home charm, we got peacefulness, we've got it all. You know, and I love the way that it is. A lot of people do too. And I know others want to see change and kind of, you know, make a prettier, shinier, brighter Mableton. Other people kind of want things to stay the same. So I think over time, you know, time will tell what will happen eventually. But I do think we're due for a change. I mean, it's happening. Just the amount of people that we are already are attracting here in Mableton, you know, are going to want certain services and things as the city grows. And so some people say, hey, we don't want all that slick, busy, big city stuff over in our area. And other people are like, well, I don't want to stay the same that I am. I don't want to stay where we are, which, you know, we don't have as many of amenities as some of the other areas. Although we do have a good amount and they're great, but there's certain things that people want. They want a shinier, tonier looking Mableton, and I can't fault them for that either. But going back to that party and some of the comments of the naysayers, I've spoken to then and just over time since I've been here in the area, people feel it's too industrial, don't feel it's ritzy enough, for their taste. What happens when it does change though? What happens if Mableton turns around and ends up being this expensive city, and we got retail galore, and the balance of of the current, that with a balance of like its current charms and like our current attributes? Like, what happens when things change? Are those people going to be, are the naysayers going to be Johnny come lately and want to come by later when everything's much higher after all the work has been done? Is that what they're waiting on, where they want to come in and then, oh, I want to just get a small foreclosure in Mableton, after everything's built up? I think I mentioned it earlier, but I think you have to be very in tune with what you want and who you are, and then you've got to make your community that way. Because buying into it after the fact, to me is, and being proud of it, to me is a bit disingenuous, but that's only my opinion. Okay. I'm not a native, Cobb County in Ann Arbor, Georgia, but I have been here a good bit of time, and I've invested my dollars in my life here in Mableton. And I do just think it's kind of funny how people who would now, talk down about it would be on the bandwagon if everything was like similar to, say, parts of Atlanta or like Sandy Springs or even Vinings or Smyrna. I just think that's a little, in my opinion, it might be harsh, but a little bit hypocritical. So, but one of the couple of things I would like to see, in addition to all the other stuff I talked about with, bridges and kayaking and all this stuff, is I would love to get a Trader Joe's here. I know that's like a wish that would probably never happen, but I would love to see a Trader Joe's here, and a bakery and antique shops and delis and coffee houses and sit-down restaurants that would cater to like a plant-based diet, for people looking to eat better. I think that'd be great. I would love to see the vacant former Piccadilly's that's over there in the public shopping center on Floyd Road. I would love to see a nice restaurant there. It's a great restaurant space, and it's been vacant since Piccadilly, left. It's got to be about maybe it's got to be at least 15 years since they've been there. So it's been a while. I'd love to see, cherry trees and crepe myrtles and dog parks and every single dogwoods in every single park. I'd love to see have more water fountains and like basically like a place where you can go like on a grassy knoll and see downtown, and see the skyline, the fireworks during this July. I just think that'd be really great. So that's basically my Mableton wish list, my thoughts on Mableton. I wanted to share a little bit what I experienced, at the party, and kind of what got my mind, rolling on what people, thought, and I just wanted to share my thoughts with you. So if you have any questions or you want to share your thoughts, please leave a comment below. I would love to interact with you, maybe do a meetup, and maybe talk a little bit more about the subject, about Mableton, what's coming in the area. If you want to know more about Mableton, go and visit my website at therealestatemaven.net. I do have articles under more information on the top right side of the browser. I also have this YouTube channel. I don't know where you might be watching this, but I do have a YouTube channel called ilovemableton.com. I also have blogs. I also am on LinkedIn. You can find me all over social. Please subscribe to this channel so you can see all my other videos. I share about the topic of real estate. I talk about real estate advice for sellers and buyers, and do home tours on here as well. So if you are still sticking with me and listening to this podcast, I appreciate you for doing so. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can find me on my website at ilovemableton.com, on YouTube, or at therealestatemaven.net, or give me a call or text at 678-929-8330. I'm Jackye Mumphrey, the Real Estate Maven. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.